Hey folks, this is Rajiv Srinivasan. I am a WEMBA graduate now, class of 2020, and WEMBA 44. Um, Barb, did you want to, are you doing an intro? I apologize, I forgot if, or I can just start off. Nope, no intro. Okay, guys. So first off, my name is Rajiv Srinivasan. Again, WEMBA 44. Really excited to talk to you guys today. I want to just kind of set up a quick framework for what we're going to do. First, I'm just going to give you a quick tour and a quick introduction about myself and how my background and how I came to Wharton. Would love to show you some photos of my time at the MBA program, and then we'll go through a virtual tour of the campus, and you'll get to see some of the infrastructure and some of the facilities that you'll be spending some time in. And I know that we are in COVID, and this isn't the most ideal way to experience the WEMBA program, but I will say this: graduating into COVID to me was very interesting. Right, we didn't have a traditional graduation ceremony, didn't have the traditional schooling, but when I think about it in terms of the grand scheme of our careers as mid-level executives at whatever companies that you're at, uh, this is an honor, right? Our country, our world is in a time of crisis. And for those of us who are going to make the commitment and the investment to better ourselves, uh, all of us and all of those who are engaging in this program, we're the leaders that are going to help lead us out of this crisis. So I feel very proud to have graduated Wharton during this time, and I look at it as a call to action, and I feel a sense of responsibility. And I hope that you all coming into this program feel that same sense of honor and responsibility and gravity of the moment. And I'm really grateful that you're considering this experience, and excited to talk to you a little bit about my background and why I came here. So I was born in India, but raised in Roanoke, Virginia. And I got my start at West Point, which is our United States Military Academy. And graduated from West Point. I majored in comparative politics and Arabic. And at the time, I thought I wanted to be a general officer. I loved the idea of a career in the military. Unfortunately, I was deployed to Afghanistan as an infantry platoon leader, and was unfortunately injured. Came back to the United States and decided to join startup world. Thankfully, I had a military, disability benefit, and I had some mentors that were willing to invest in me. So I started two startups that failed dramatically. And then I ended up starting one that succeeded, and I ended up getting some venture capital funding, moving out to the West Coast, and eventually getting acquired. And then after that exit, I needed to sort of redefine myself. I had never worked in a real company. I had no idea what I was doing. And my exit, while on paper looked really successful, it was not like this life-changing event. I still needed to work. I still, I had a little bit of money, but I needed to actually build a career. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a salesperson. And I think my identity as a salesperson came from having a strong appreciation of what it was like to be on the front lines of the U.S. Army in Afghanistan. I believe that sales is the front lines of corporate America. And I just took that identity to heart. And we're in front of the customer, we're fighting against our competition every day, we're trying to be charismatic leaders, winning hearts and minds. And I just took that identity and I built a career out of it. I worked at some companies you may or may not have heard of: Mobile Iron, where I led government sales. And then I was recruited by VMware, where I went from their end user computing business unit to eventually becoming a global account manager and a global account director. And so that's where I entered Wharton. So I entered Wharton 2 years ago, and at the time I was a global account manager. So I was responsible for running a worldwide engagement with two of VMware's largest customers, and the big fish was Sony, and obviously headquartered in Japan. And I, at the time, even when I joined VMware, I was actually really against the MBA, and that was kind of interesting for me. And came to Wharton because my wife said that she wanted an MBA. And so 4 years ago, my wife actually joined the WEMBA program. And we weren't even married yet. We were, at the time, we were just engaged. And you can imagine as a new couple, for me to be from the get-go against the MBA and then see my wife wanted to do it. And oh, by the way, she's going to do a $200,000 program. I was like really taken aback and very skeptical. But I think over the course of watching my wife go through the program, I saw how she developed. I saw how her narrative of who she was and what she wanted to do with her life came together in this really articulate fashion. I saw her friend circle just elevate into the stratosphere. You know, she was very successful and also a salesperson. We met at the same company, but you know, I think the multifunctional network of not just connections, but true friends, lifelong friends, they challenged her. They made her better. And when she graduated, actually before she graduated, I said, you know what? I want that for myself too. And I got completely flipped around. And now my family, my wife and I, we have two Wharton MBAs between the two of us. And honestly, no matter the time, the commitment, the money, the investment of the missed birthdays, the missed holidays, whatever, there's not a day that goes by that you can ask us whether it was worth it. Absolutely 100% yes. And we would both do it again if we could. And so I'm, you know, kind of the quintessential turnaround story, if you will, on the investment of the Wharton MBA. I was a spouse that was skeptical and then got turned. So kind of cool, right? So that's how I came to Wharton. And, you know, I am going to start sharing my screen now, and we'll start going through some of my stories through the program. And please, I see we've got about 31 folks on the call, very manageable. So if you have questions, please do feel free to type them in the message box. And you know, also I'm very eager to get to know you as well. So I know we're on mute right now, but you know, folks, I'm watching the chat. If you want to tell me, you know, who you are, where you come from, where you work, any questions that you have, reactions, I'm very much engaged and eager to see you all be successful. So with that, I'm going to start sharing a screen, and I just need you to people can see your screen. Okay, so let's see if I can, you know, how ironic it is that we all work in technology, and yet I'm outsmarted by Google Sheets every day. So we talked a little bit about me. We talked a little bit about how I came to Wharton. Folks, we're obviously from San Francisco. Here, let me just go into presentation mode, and hopefully you all can continue to see that. As you all know, we're in San Francisco. This is a beautiful city, in or out of COVID. As you can see from my background, I'm not in San Francisco right now. I'm at my house in South Lake Tahoe, trying to escape Corona lockdown. But I love this city. It's so exciting. It's wonderful. And for those of you who are outside the city, coming in from Seattle, Denver, LA, San Diego, I even had classmates from Texas, Sacramento. This is going to feel like home. You're going to start seeing just how wonderful the city can be. And you're going to start feeling the energy, the entrepreneurial spirit. It is a city that I believe you can sense the future of the world, you know, taking shape. And it's something that I think adds to the level of excitement in the classroom. Let's see here. Yeah, so you know, we stay in the Le Meridien Hotel. For those of us who've traveled a lot for work over the course of our careers, who've stayed in you know, SPG and Marriott, you know, higher end hotels. I mean, it's nothing you haven't seen before. It's very comfortable. You'll feel at home. And what's really interesting is like, even though we don't stay in like quote unquote dorms, like when you're in you know, at school, the staff start to recognize you, right? It's 2 years and you're there every, you're there every day, excuse me, every weekend or every other weekend for 2 years. And the staff start to recognize you. They know who you are. They start giving you high fives when you walk in. And I found them to be incredibly friendly and helpful. Up on the third floor of that hotel, we have the Wharton Pub. So it's a really great facility. We basically block out the bar, and it's a great place to, like, you know, let off some steam, have some fun, get to know your classmates more on a personal level. We're all super worked up. We're stressed. We're motivated. We've got work going on. We got family lives. Some of our classmates had kids. And, just having this one night, 2 nights every other week to just get to know each other, let your hair down, and enjoy a few brews was a really powerful thing. And I think you guys will all find this to be very fun. So I did not ask for this picture, but it's a very crisp looking photo. So the marketing team took this of me. I'm actually talking and doing some homework with one of my classmates, obviously very engaged. But I had some wonderful times at the WEMBA program. So this is actually a few of my classmates on our international expedition to Turkey. So I did a finance and emerging markets class, and we went off to Turkey and got to meet some entrepreneurs, got to visit different plants, and even visit some larger institutions that were reinventing themselves, namely the Istanbul International Airport. We actually got to go meet the folks that designed the new infrastructure, the Turkish Airlines leadership team that invested in the project, and we got to see the level of community and national engagement that just invigorated the city. So that was one of my most treasured memories. The foundation of your experience is really going to be in your learning team, however. So the learning team is a group of about 6 folks from various backgrounds that you get paired up with, and you meet on the first day of your 2-year experience. And to be quite honest, you never really let go of each other. Now, I am really passionate about Wharton primarily because of the work that the admissions department does. Barb in particular, I have now seen both my wife's class. I've seen 43 and 44. So my wife is 42. I've seen 43. I've seen 44, and even now 45. I'm a buddy for some of the folks that are in this current class, and I am always amazed at how Barb and her team are able to create this diverse, passionate, multifunctional, multicultural group that seem to mesh so well together. So what's really interesting in our learning team is that we have so many different backgrounds. So I work in sales in tech, and I live in San Francisco. Amrish, to my left in that picture, works in, he's a computer engineer out of Austin, Texas. Marlene in the center, she actually works as a talent agent in LA. Rana, next to Amrish, she works in marketing for Facebook. Then to my right in the picture, that's Edmundo. He's actually from Mexico City working in finance. And to his right is Dan Wu, who works in fashion down in LA and fashion operations. I mean, just such an interesting, diverse group of folks. And the 6 of us just grew to be so close. And I think a lot of folks had that experience with their learning team. I'm going to quickly field a question from Artem. Which element of the program would I consider had the highest ROI so far on my life? Is it classroom work, networking, etc.? So, I mean, let's be honest here. The actual classroom work, there's very little, especially in the foundational classes, that you can't learn online or through buying your own books and reading, on your own, right? The access to education in the world today is so robust that the fundamentals of what we're learning, you can learn on your own. But I'd argue that the ROI comes from two real places, right? I wouldn't define it as classroom work. I would define it as classroom discussion, right? Where you have these world-class professors, right? This isn't the B team, like the folks that you see on CNBC that have Wharton professor, the folks that you see on Time Magazine, the folks quoted in the New York Times. Those are the same people standing in front of you in the classroom. And what's really cool is after they're done teaching, let's say, the lesson of the day, and they open it up for questions and discussions, you get so deep and nuanced. And that's really the power of the program. And what I think for me was super powerful was there were many, I guess, philosophies that I came in with and frameworks that I came into the program with that got completely turned around. Like my professors really changed the way that I view the world. And that, especially being in corporate America, I think that humility to just sort of absorb information, absorb dialogue, refine your belief systems, and engage with people who work in different functions and see the world from a different viewpoint. That is really the value. And I want to also be clear that that isn't restricted to the classroom. Sometimes professors would come and join us at the pub, and we'd continue the discussions over a glass of wine. Of course, when we're on the bus in Istanbul or in Argentina, where I did my global business week, I would be able to have offhand conversations with the professors in my classrooms and my classmates, excuse me, and yeah, that dialogue back and forth, that is ultimately what you're paying for, right? It is really valuable, challenging, introspective wisdom that we get through the sandpaper of the discussion, if you will, that just sort of refine our worldviews. And that's really where I found the value. And it's just such a highly curated class. And hats off to Barb and the admissions team for doing such a great job. So again, the learning team, you'll get to know each other. My biggest piece of advice when you get to know your learning team is really be open, right? Make sure you are, opening up who you are and being a good friend and not holding anything back. The posturing, the folks that decide to like puff up their chest and decide to be someone they're not, those are the ones that probably get the least out of the program. The ones who are truly vulnerable, those are the ones that get the most out of the program. So here I have a couple of my classmates, Julian, also from Mexico City, working in finance, and Taka, he is actually a sales engineer for Salesforce. We visited in Argentina the Toyota Fiat plant and got to see lots of the ways cars get built, which was really exciting, and learning about how the unions and different types of organizations all interact with corporations. I became a pretty avid mountain biker. So my friend David Wang, who lives in San Mateo and works for Carbon and 3D printing, he and I would become really avid mountain bikers. And so our relationship developed outside of the classroom during the week as well. So here we are on an off weekend in Skyline Boulevard in San Mateo, going on a really intense, muddy mountain bike ride. And then, here in Lake Tahoe, I invited a couple of my friends to go up on really beautiful hikes. So long after the classroom time ends, we continue that fun and that friendship elsewhere, and it's pretty remarkable. So I'm actually going to back up here and go into the tour, the virtual tour. And again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm eager to see what we got. All right, folks. So let's go into this tour here. As you can see, we're starting off in Philadelphia, but we're here to talk about San Francisco. All right. So the Wharton San Francisco.
Now we're almost 3,000 miles from the main.
Sorry about that. So as you can see in the Wharton San Francisco Hall, this is our dining facility, and it's kind of the heart and soul of the campus. We have a lot of our big reunion and gatherings here. You'll have your happy hours here when you come in for your new student admission event. I got to point out, this view is immaculate, and we'll go deeper into some of the the pictures, and you'll get to see like you are in prime real estate here in San Francisco. And I think that this view of the bridge and the ocean, it's not only really soothing during like the more stressful times during the program, but it's also like a wonderful just inspirational viewpoint where you can actually see and feel like the power of the city. And so from the back off, so this is kind of like the end of the campus, if you will. And as you can see off to the right here, these are the faculty offices. You won't spend too much time over there, but let's take a look here. We may be able to go in to see a meeting space. So the meeting spaces are state of the art. We got great technology, very comfortable meeting rooms. And we actually also have an open space program, which I took advantage of, where you can actually during the week reserve a conference room and come in and study, or heck, take even your work calls there. I found it to be a wonderful benefit of the program. The campus was just like a new home for me, and I turned it into my second office. So when I wasn't on the road, I would enjoy coming in, and I would run into to Steve, with Bernie, with other folks on the staff, Kim and Amy, and you just become a part of the culture, right? So I guess what I'm saying, especially if you are living in San Francisco, traveling to San Francisco, consider this place your home, right? A home base, and you can come in and enjoy the facilities whenever you can. I want to make sure that I get to show you some of the other parts of the campus here. Let's go into some of the photos here. So this is the main classroom, 660. So this classroom seats basically the entire class, and will be used for some of your bigger presentations. And you know, you got huge monitors, and it's surprisingly interactive. It's amazing how small it can feel and how included you can feel during the session. We also have, again, another big, beautiful picture of that bridge. The hallways have lots of light. You know, I never actually, you know, just as from a personal point of view, I never actually knew how much interior design could affect my mood and my motivation until I saw this campus. And I was like, wow, this really does bring out a new energy in me. These are two of my classmates. Pallavi is a program manager at Microsoft, and Shan is actually a PhD in biology and chemistry, and she actually goes around the world giving very impressive talks. Both are multilingual and born in other countries. Pallavi's from India, Shan is from China. Just a sense of like the diversity that we have here at the campus. Outside, you know, on the streets, this is the Embarcadero. There's a couple bars and restaurants that are pretty easy to access after class, and it's really easy to just find ways to enjoy yourself and your classmates in your off time. And it's a really wonderful environment. So yeah, just to summarize, you know, across the board, by far, the most important part of this program are your classmates. And I think that, you know, the ability to like spend time with them, engage them, and make yourself available in your off time, that's really where, you know, you're going to find most of your benefits here. Let me see if I can mute this here. I don't think that's gonna, I think I messed up. Anyways, as you can, you know, we just have a wonderful campus, a wonderful crew. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now and just open up the chat. And I would love to just field some more questions. All right, so we got a few coming in. Let's go ahead and go to Kathy. Do you feel like the program helps advance your career before you even graduate? Yes, I do. And this was kind of what I was going to end on. I started out as a global account manager at VMware. I got promoted while at VMware and then about 1 year through the program, I actually got an offer from LinkedIn to go be a director of global clients. And so for me, this Wharton MBA actually helped me do two things. One, it helped me move into management. And then not only move into management, but move into a bigger company. I moved to a Microsoft company, and I'm paid in Microsoft stock now. And that was pretty significant. Most people at my level at VMware, if they wanted to move into management, would have to go down market. So I was managing a global account. I have to go manage at an SMB, small, medium business, or an enterprise level. And I was able to not only go into management, but stay at the global account level and actually go into a higher brand company. And so, yeah, and I did that before I graduated. And I know several of my classmates have similar stories. So absolutely. From Aravind, outside of building your network, what were other gaps in your profile that Wharton helped fill? You know, I think that that's your profile doesn't have gaps, right? You are who you are. I think what Wharton does is it does have a way to refine and add an element of validation to your competence. It's a wonderful brand, but I don't like to say that it fills in gaps. Every single one of you, by being even on this webinar, is a competent, strong person. I think that I would look at it as it's less about what it fills on your external presence, but think about more about how it helped you evolve as a person, right? Being challenged, being truly confident in not just who you are, but who you want to be. And I think that level of fulfillment is really what you walk away with. I want to take a minute and also talk about the faculty, right? Like I said, this is not the B team, right? We are talking about world-class thinkers, people that have served on the boards of companies, that advise companies. That faculty and their ability to challenge you and refine the way you see the world, that's what you're paying for. So if you're coming to the MBA just to fill in perceived gaps in your profile, I'd argue that you're selling yourself short, and you're probably selling the MBA short, what it can do for you short. Really look at it as how is it going to really advance your identity and advance your executive presence and your philosophy on leadership. I'm going to field a question. Let's see, how many hours typically did you spend outside of class, including studying, projects, and socializing? I think I spent about depends on the course load. Earlier on in the program, I was spending a lot of time. I wanted to be confident that I would not flunk out. And as a sales guy, my background in accounting was nil, finance nil. So I was spending about an hour to 2 hours a day, maybe 4 hours a week, 5 hours a week towards the lighter periods, studying and getting ready. Now, at one point, I think towards the second year, probably 1/3 of the way in, I was like a knife through butter. I knew how to optimize my time, where to cut corners, what mattered, what didn't. And I just felt way more at ease in my second year. And socializing, I spent at least 1 to 2 hours a week socializing with my classmates, grabbing coffee. I actually set out with a goal to do a one-on-one outside of campus with each of my classmates, and I almost did it. I got about 75 folks to do a one-on-one with me, and that was just a wonderful way for me to get outside of the stress and the distraction of class, and it was a really great way to understand them. Question about what would I say to someone considering this program and others? Any tips on how to weigh options? Not gonna lie, I get it. Wharton's expensive. It's there, and especially if you're considering Berkeley, or I actually was considering MIT's executive MBA. At the end of the day, Wharton is the #1 executive MBA program in the country, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's a reason why it costs what it costs. There's a reason why the brand is what it is. This is the primo faculty in the world. And I wholeheartedly believe that every single one of my classmates feels the gravity of that brand when they're going up for jobs and for other experiences. So, I personally do believe that if you're going to invest the time and the money and the effort to do an MBA, might as well go for the best that you can. And so that's what I would say to you. Question from Michael. Looking back, what was one thing that happened to you during your time at Wharton that you did not expect as part of the experience? Oh, wow. I think that I did not expect to do so poorly academically. Honest to God. I went to West Point. I did, I was top 5% of my class there. I have a background in math. I got a master's in applied mathematics from Columbia. I walked in a little bit cocky. I'm not going to lie. and I did not expect to do so poorly academically. This was very challenging, and I definitely was humbled by not just my professors but my classmates. It was amazing how talented and smart they were, and when it came to certainly some of the more intense mathematics and macroeconomic classes, like man, oh man, they took me to school literally and figuratively. So I loved being humbled by that. So, you know, and it's good to be challenged. It's good to be humbled by the genius of your classmates and the professors. That it was very healthy and quite frankly gave me a broader perspective of knowing what I don't know. So, folks, I feel like we are at time. I just want to say thank you again for considering the program. I'm really grateful to all of you, and just wish you all the best of luck. You can find me on LinkedIn very easily, and most all Wembas, if you reach out to us with questions or advice, most of us are pretty receptive to that. So, I wish you all the best. Good luck, and stay safe out there. Also, I also need to direct you to the admissions website for for future admissions information sessions and for your application as well. So we're all open to you if you need us. Thank you very much.